Hi, and welcome into this Five Clubs conversation. My name is Emma Carpenter, and this is my segment where we talk all things college golf. I am coming to you today from Olympic Hills Golf Club in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, and it is green outside right now. It is a beautiful sunny day. Believe it or not, we're supposed to get a day up to 70 degrees this weekend in Minnesota, so that is very exciting. But I am extremely excited about today's episode, as I am, for the first time ever, having a collegiate coach joining me today. All college coaches do things a little bit differently, but there is definitely something special about Cowboys Oklahoma State head coach Alan Bratton that makes his team so successful year after year, and allowing him to be able to lead a team to being in contention for a national championship each year, as well as having guys such as Matthew Wolf, Victor Hovland, Ricky Fowler coming out of this program. So I am very excited to sit down with Coach Bratton today and hear about what has helped his team and his coaching be so successful. So thank you for joining me today, and I know that you are going to enjoy the listen. And with that, I welcome in Coach Alan Bratton. Coach, thank you so much for joining me today. Good morning to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to come on, and excited to get to talk with you.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you. You are my very first college coach here on my segment, and I am just so excited to touch on your career as a coach for the Cowboys, as a player. I know that we've got a lot to talk about. So far, you have already hit what a lot of people are calling the national championship trifecta. You've done it as a player, as an assistant coach, and as a head coach, all for the OSU Cowboys. What's it like to be able to say you've got that kind of accolade?
Well, it's really humbling to be leading our program here at Oklahoma State. I've been a product of that since Coach Holder first recruited me in 1989. So I've been blessed to be a part of the program for a long time. This is the only place I played, the only place that I've coached. And I'm very proud of those accomplishments. It was great to my last college tournament. We went out as national champions. I was a part of a championship team the year that I redshirted, my very first year in school. And then getting to learn from the leadership of Mike Holder, and then winning a championship as Mike McGraw's assistant. And then us winning in 2018 as a head coach. So proud of those accomplishments. And again, humbled that someone would recognize that. But I just feel blessed. OSU golf's been wonderful to me, and really proud to be the leader of the program.
Absolutely. I'm sure you've got so much passion when it comes to Stillwater and Oklahoma State. So as your role as a coach here, similar to all the other years, you've got another very talented team this year. Something that I want to talk about is one of the highlights of the spring. I was playing in a practice round at UCF's home tournament, and I remember watching on GolfStat. I like to just kind of keep up with all the other tournaments going on. I remember watching what happened in the final round, and unbelievably impressive. For the listeners who don't know, OSU was down 10 shots going into the final round and fired a 24 under par in the final round to team win by one, with Eugenio Lopez Chacarra at a 62 10 under par course record the final day, birdie eagle finish. Watching this live, I actually couldn't believe that. What were you telling the team before that final round? What was that conversation?
Well, we talked about how 10 shots is very doable in college golf. We were playing well. We just hadn't quite gotten the scores in like we wanted. The golf course is fairly easy. And, I actually wondered if we could do it. 10 shots on a lot of golf courses isn't that big of a challenge, or if you maybe get some weather conditions where you can separate from the field. The golf course we were playing, it was difficult to separate from the field because, again, it wasn't overly difficult. So everyone was going to shoot a pretty good score, it looked like. But our guys, especially Eugenio, was talking about how they were going to get that done. And so I encouraged that. I didn't know if I really believed we were going to do that. But sure enough, they got going. Jonas Bumgartner shot a low round. We had everybody kind of firing on all cylinders. And, Eugenio blitzed things at the end. I was helping our guys play the 18th hole because it was one of the best par fours on the course. And that was a place you could maybe make a difference as a coach, giving advice. And then I picked him up and actually walked with him then on 18, 1, 2, and 3. So I got to see him close that out for his first college win, shooting 62 the final round. He knew he needed to two putt to win the last hole, or on the last hole. He had an eagle putt. He knew he needed a two putt to win the individual, but he didn't realize that eagle was going to win the tournament for our team. He hit a beautiful putt and spectacular finish. He hit a 2-iron from like 270 on the last hole over water on the green and closed it out that way. And it's interesting you mentioned that tournament at UCF. I'm fairly positive his sister, that was the same tournament she was playing. And I believe they shot the same total, maybe 19 under, both of them to win the same week. So great symmetry there. They're very close. And that was a really cool week. And he was following his sister's progress the whole way. So that was cool to see as well.
That's so fun. Yeah, you mentioned, so you walked those final few holes with him. He finished 6 under par through his last 6 holes. What kind of insight were you offering as you were walking down those last few holes and he was able to close out the individual win by 1 and the team win by 2?
Yeah, I was just keeping him focused on, he's had a bad habit of checking scores and not staying in the present. So we had made him keep his phone in the car that day so that he wouldn't do that. And I was just trying to do a good job of keeping him centered on the task at hand, just hitting shots. He knew he had a chance to win. And, I gave him the scores maybe on the last couple of holes to let him know where he stood and how we were doing. But it was very late kind of in that process. So just trying to keep him focused on the present. He's struggled with that a bit in the past. He's had a chance to win tournaments before and just hasn't gotten it done. I mean, it wasn't any kind of struggles at the end or anything like that with him, but he desperately wanted to win a tournament. And it was cool to be standing by his side while he did that. And we found out later, I believe we tied a single day record for Oklahoma State. That was the lowest that we had shot. So a lot of pride in the group. And it's nice to know as you kind of push forward and talk about how you can come from behind and do those things, to have a group of guys that'll actually believe it and know that they've believed that before and then actually executed.
Absolutely. Wow. Very, very impressive. And I'm sure for Eugenio, more to come as well. Once you get that first college win under your belt, it seems like the other ones just keep coming as well. And you are right. At UCF, it was absolutely crazy how it was the same week, brother and sister shoot a 10 under 62 in the final round to win the tournament with 19 under par. You're right. That symmetry was just unbelievable. Really cool. Really talented, impressive brother and sister there. But so it's funny how you mention this event and the way it was playing, because I know that many other former Cowboys have been the medalist at this event, Matt Wolff being one of them, and another one being you. Is that right?
Yeah, that was my first college win. And it was kind of funny. The guy that runs the tournament, it's the same guy that was doing it when I played. He mentioned that in the award ceremony, and I had to mention that I won the tournament at I think it was a different golf course, but I think I shot 4 over par to win, and won by 2 over some future PGA Tour players. And Eugenio was winning at 19 under, or I think that's what he shot. But yeah, that was I redshirted as a freshman, and then I won that tournament for my first win. So that was kind of nice to share with Eugenio as well.
Absolutely. Speaking of Eugenio, some pretty big news came out that a lot of people were saying kind of shocked the golf world. Eugenio just announced that he is going to be returning to Oklahoma State for his 5th year, which a lot of people found surprising, as right now he's currently 5th in PGA Tour University. And for the listeners who may not know, PGA Tour U is pretty new, but being in the top 5, finishing in the top 5 gets you Corn Ferry Tour exemptions, as well as exemption into the final stage of Q school there as well. So, I mean, Coach, what kind of culture are you creating there in Stillwater that is making players forego the possible opportunity to be that far ahead of his competitors turning professional and choosing to return back for another year with you and the team?
Yeah, that was awesome that he decided to do that. We've been talking about it all year, and he's been saying that all along. He's actually third on PGA Tour U. But he recognized, I mean, the kid's got a chance to be really, really good. And, professional golf's not going anywhere. I didn't know exactly what he would decide to do. His skill set's very, very good. But it's hard to over prepare for the PGA Tour. And we have a lot of experience in helping mentor our guys as they transition from college to professional golf. And he's also fortunate that he's very close with Sergio Garcia. And Sergio kind of gave him the same advice of it's not going anywhere. And that's a guy that turned pro when he was 18 years old and has been one of the best players in the world for forever. But he recognizes that there's, more to life than just golf. And there's certainly more to professional golf than just what's inside the ropes. The more mature you can be, the more prepared you can be just with life experiences. And that's why you go to college, is for an education. And the education is much more than just in the classroom and just books. And people have a tendency to, we live in such an instant world. Everybody wants instant gratification. They think there's shortcuts to things, and they want to run away from today so quickly to maybe advance to the next level. There's real value in coming back next year. He already kind of did that this year after being a first-team All-American last year with, a target on his back. He should go into next year as, if not the premier player, one of. And to gain that experience in a little bit safer environment before you're doing it for a living, with everyone gunning for you, learning what that's like, when maybe you might win a tournament and it's no big deal to people. That's hard a lot of times. Or if you struggle a little bit, people asking you what's wrong. Those are all things that you have to deal with if you can become one of the best players in the world. And I got to watch that with Phil Mickelson. When I was a freshman, Phil was a senior, and he had already won on the PGA Tour and chose to come back. So this kind of a decision isn't unprecedented. Scott Verplank did the same thing, 10 years prior to Phil Mickelson, or close to. He won on the PGA Tour while he was at Oklahoma State, came back for his senior year, and that served those guys well. John Rahm was a player of the year. People thought he should turn pro. He came back. It's paid off for him. Colin Morikawa. There's any number of guys. So fortunately, Eugenio got some good mentorship, I think, from his parents and from Sergio. Hopefully we helped in that. And he's confident that it's just going to help him prepare better. Now he's going to have an opportunity to play some PGA Tour events between now and then. And I've encouraged him, if you're ready, go ahead and win. There's nothing wrong with doing that. They don't let you take strokes off just because you call yourself a professional. So just get good and prepare in every way you can. And that's what he believes he's going to do. And hopefully we can help him do over the next year so that his transition to professional golf is as smooth as possible.
That's wonderful. It's very interesting to hear you talk about that, because a lot of guys do take the professional route very differently. And, by the sounds of what you're saying, those years, honestly, no matter how many it may be, Matt Wolff did 2 years, Victor Hovland did 3, Eugenio's doing 5, all these guys that you're mentioning, they're doing it differently, but each year still provides a lot of preparation and a lot of insight and a lot of knowledge and learning. So that's definitely great and interesting to hear you talk about that. So you also chased the professional golf route a bit yourself. I know Lindy Miller, Willie Wood, Bob Tway were some idols of yours while you were playing at Oklahoma State. You chased a year on the Corn Ferry, web.com, now the Corn Ferry, as well as a year on the PGA Tour. At what point in your life did you realize that coaching would really be a good fit for you and where you feel fulfilled?
Well, I have to look and thank my college coach. I had a wonderful experience here. I had a guy that was an example of excellence in front of me every single day in Mike Holder. Anything he did well. Great job of inspiring us. And I would have never become the player that I did without his help and all my teammates on the team. So I always felt like coaching was something I would enjoy. I felt like I was good at helping the guys on my team as a leader of our team I became our best player my redshirt freshman year, and so felt like a leader and helped the guys on our team develop. So I thought I would always enjoy that. I didn't really think I was going to do it. I was going to play the PGA Tour forever. That was my goal, and that was my expectation. I ended up playing pro golf for 6 years. Didn't have the career that I wanted. I tell our guys, I don't tell people that I was a PGA Tour player. I played the PGA Tour. I'm proud of that, but that's not something you want to do. I wanted to have a career on the tour, and to me, that's what I call a PGA Tour player. But I learned a lot. After I quit playing, I got to work for Ping in their tour department, so got to observe all the professional tours in a little bit different capacity, and learned a lot from watching those guys. And like I say, you want to get out there to stay. And if you're good enough, they can't keep you out. So that's another way, again, if I'm talking to our players about this decision, every turning pro or what you're going to do, just get good. It's the same with junior golfers. Just focus on continuing to get good, because if you're good enough, doesn't matter where you play, what school, who you are, race, ethnicity, none of that matters. How good you are. It's a very cold sport. If you're good enough, they can't keep you out. And it makes it better in my mind than a lot of the professional sports where someone else has to deem you good enough or draft you and say they kind of have to give you permission. If you're good enough in golf, you make it. So there's no rush. Every situation is a little bit different. I wanted to have a long career, but in that, as I recognized, we were starting a family. I didn't like where I was finishing. I finished 200th on the PGA Tour money list, and then the following year, 70th on the Korn Ferry Tour, which now would keep your card. At that time, it did not. I didn't want to just be a middle of the road guy. I felt like I could keep making a living playing, but I thought there was something I would enjoy more, and coaching was ultimately what I wanted to do. I applied for a job where I grew up. I grew up in College Station. Texas A&M was hiring a coach, and they basically told me I wasn't qualified to be a coach. And so kind of in that process, I got offered a job at Ping, and that was a wonderful blessing working for the Solheims. I learned a ton, and I think that's helped me as I ultimately did become a coach at Oklahoma State.
Wow. So I know that one of the reasons why you decided to play for Oklahoma State in the first place is just because of its long history of success. I would say OSU is among a handful of schools that can really be considered a golf school. I want to know, did that feel like pressure, to continue to lead the team down this path and achieve the success that so many people expect to see?
Well, I wanted to go play for the best, and I just wanted to get good. I was smart enough to recognize the best way to get good is to go hang out with really good players. And I tell people that all the time. Oklahoma State golf isn't good because I'm the coach here, but I'm a product of the program. We've got a long history of success. I think we've had a program 73-ish years, and we've finished in the top 5 55 times. So this place breeds success, and I was certainly a part of that. And Coach Holder had talked to me about redshirting, and basically I wasn't good enough to make the starting lineup consistently as a freshman. And that's my favorite year of school, was that year. I learned from All-Americans. We had Bob May on the team and Kevin Wentworth. You mentioned Lenny Miller and Bob Tway. I got to hang out with those guys. And that really helped me improve. I learned what excellence was about from those guys and from my coach, and that set the foundation for what I was able to do going forward. So I try to share those same messages with our current guys, keep them connected with those same past players. Our former players do a wonderful job of continuing to get to know our guys and mentoring them and giving them advice on how to succeed while they're in school and beyond. So we just work hard to continue that. And it, like I say, for me as a player and a coach, I continue to learn every day from all the pieces of our program that have a great reach around the world.
I know you mentioned that leadership was a big piece of what you learned during your time as a player at Oklahoma State, and ultimately played a role in deciding that you wanted to coach. Is really a topic of leadership something that you like to instill in your athletes?
Yeah, hopefully I always feel like I fall short of the example that my coach set for me. I think he's a much better coach than me. I'm fortunate. I was smart enough to hire a guy better than me as well to help me coach in Donnie Dar. And I think between the two of us, we have a wonderful collection of experiences and ways to communicate with our players to hopefully reach them. And absolutely, that's what you're trying to do, is lead them to success in whatever they choose to do down the road. And hopefully they leave here and feel like they had an example of how they should handle themselves and aspire to be as they go forward.
Absolutely. So switching gears on you a little bit here, we're talking about your role as a coach, and you say that I think without a doubt you absolutely play you are a big piece of the success that OSU has found over the last several years, decade. When you are recruiting, what is, besides, you've got all the best recruits in the world wanting to come play for you, besides golf scores and proving that they have the ability to win, what else are you looking for in a recruit?
Well, it's hard to describe. Donnie and I have been fortunate to be around really good players for a long time. So I'm just looking for similar characteristics in people that have been successful here before. Obviously speed is important. Results are important, but you're trying to project the future and trying to know what someone's got in their heart, how badly they want to be good. It is hard, and you need to communicate quite a bit with kids to figure that out. So not a great answer to the question, because I wish I could really pinpoint exactly what that is, but hopefully we know it when we see it. And that's why we've been good over the years. We've done a good job of kind of cutting through all the different players out there and finding kids that are the right fit. They may not be the best player coming out of high school. Obviously, you'd like them to be as good as they can be, but you're trying to project someone that can improve, because you're trying to forecast who can be good in 2, 3, 4, 8 years down the road, and who the message that we send is going to mesh with, that ultimately pushes them down the learning curve faster than someone else.
Right. No, I think that's a great answer, because it's another way of saying you can't coach desire and heart. That's 100% important. You can have talent, but you need hard work and you need desire. So with that being said, there are a lot of great players out there who may have that heart and desire, but is there anything that when you're recruiting that might turn you off of a player?
I like to listen to how they talk to their parents, how they interact with their parents. That's a big key. We all end up, whether we like it or not, generally most people end up, you're a product of where you came from, and we end up like our parents a lot. So we recruit the whole family. Certain behaviors on the golf course, aren't that appealing, but you might be able to train some of that out of kids. Kids are young and they're still forming who they are. I am not a big fan when someone's golf swing looks like it's been over-taught. I like very natural golf swings. So that's something that scares me, because I feel like if they're too tied to instruction or someone else, you have to own your own game. You're the only person that's out there all the time. So I like natural golf swings that repeat. Doesn't matter if they maybe look a little bit different. If someone owns that, knows how to make adjustments on the golf course, that's something that's really appealing to me. I like someone that plays the game creatively and has good hands. So I'm trying to look for those kind of things, because I feel like when you have someone that looks like someone taught them to do what they're doing and doesn't look natural or like they own it, I feel like they're in jeopardy of that really breaking down, or they're going to search for something else while they're there. So I usually kind of shy away from those kind of, if I see that in a technique or something like that.
Yeah, a lot of different personalities in the golf world, and in all levels, amateur, professional golf. So it's funny to hear you mention that that reactions on the golf course, maybe some hotheads, you can you can coach that out of somebody. It's funny. I know I mentioned that, so that I played on the boys team in high school, and coach, I played with some hotheads. Let me tell you, it's funny the way that not saying that girls can't be the same way, because everybody can be guilty of it a little bit. Everybody wants to play well, but
one of the best ones that I've had, actually, of someone losing their mind on the golf course was a girl. I coached our women's team for 2 years, and I was recruiting at the U.S. Junior, and it was quite entertaining for me. And I actually watched it for another 4 or 5 holes because it was so entertaining. She punched the water cooler cover, bent it, and then I got to watch the parents freak out and then tell her not to freak out. It's one of the most entertaining days I've had as a coach, and it was at the U.S. Junior Girls. So, recruiting is hard. Anyone that says that it's easy has never done it. And, you've got to find your moments of entertainment. So, yeah, that was a classic one that I won't share names or anything like that on here, but that was a wonderful day in coaching to see that entertainment.
Punched the cooler.
Yeah, it was, some coolers have a little metal cover over them, and she whacked it hard enough that put a big dent in it. And then she asked, I was sitting on the bench next to her, and she's like, "Do you mind if I sit down?" And I got out of her way. I didn't know if she was going to come after me next or what, but it was fantastic entertainment.
You didn't want to be the next victim. So can I ask, no, definitely not asking to share names, can I ask if you ended up recruiting her?
I did not. I was walking it. She was already committed somewhere, but I also enjoyed walking with her future coach. And a couple holes later, she had already lost her mind. She had a very short putt for a birdie. And I leaned over to the coach and I said, "Oh gosh, I kind of hope she misses this, because if she does, she's going to freak out." Sure enough, she missed it. She whacked the putter on her foot and bent the putter. And I got to watch the mom, the caddy gave the putter to her mom to say she can't use this anymore. If you bend it not in normal play, you can't use it. And I got to watch the mom try to say, I think it was like that when she started. So even though there were, 10 of us there that had just seen her bend it. So like I say, it was a very, very entertaining day. And you never know what you're going to see out there recruiting and what you might learn.
That is hilarious. I kind of hope she misses this, because she's going to freak out. That is so funny. Yeah, you never know what you're going to get with people sometimes. A lot of different personalities. I want to rewind a little bit. You mentioned that you don't want guys who, may have seemed like they were overcoached. And one of the really interesting things about college golf is that once you go to school, maybe move away, quite a ways away from your family, you're not with a swing coach anymore. You're doing a whole new, living a new lifestyle and in a new practice schedule in a new place. So I want to know, you've got incredibly talented recruits coming in. All these guys have already got real game. And what is kind of the approach for you when all these guys do play it differently, play it their own way? Do you ever feel skeptical helping out some of these guys, and out of fear of maybe making them worse? It almost can be easier to make guys worse than make them better when coaches get involved in something that they had worked on with a previous coach or whatever that may be.
Yeah, that's 100% accurate. The lesser player you have, there's lots of things you can tell them that'll make them better, not that many things that'll make them worse. The better player you have, that goes in the reverse. If you bring in a Matthew Wolf or a Victor Hovland or Ricky Fowler, someone like that, it's certainly reverse. Much easier to mess them up than to help them. So we're patient, guarded. You have to earn a player's trust. We recruit technique that we like, players that we like, and you try to start off with the low-hanging fruit. It may be something that's going to for sure make them play better, how they practice, improvements in some area that are going to lead to a better score. And again, we try to get to know them and their games and earn their trust. And then I better be right the first time I make a suggestion, or if it's me, I may not trust you the next time to come back. So I say we're patient, guarded, and certainly take a very long-term view of their improvement. And I think we have a long track record of not messing people up. And again, people tend to think that all these players come in as polished as they can be, which is not the case. Some kids are, but it's very rare that you find someone that's ready to go dominate college golf or professional golf when they arrive. And that's part of the recruiting process as well, is finding guys that want to be coached, want to be great, and will be confident enough to be vulnerable, to be honest with what they're thinking, feeling, and again, to be coached. And our players that have gone on to the most success have loved golf, wanted to be great, and were, again, confident enough to be coached.
That's great. Yes, I've heard, I'm sure it's definitely different with you, as you have produced so many, so many successful, highly successful players. I've heard lots of stories, and I mean, a lot of kids, a lot of golfers might just want someone to blame, but definitely I've heard some stories about kids thinking that a college coach had one too many suggestions or wanted to change something. But it's definitely different in your situation, as you have, you've got all the credibility. And, you bring up names like Victor Hovland, Matthew Wolf, Ricky Fowler, these guys. And as we've mentioned before, these years at Oklahoma State better prepared them and equipped them for success on the PGA Tour. Is there, when you mention these big names and household names, you could even call them, a lot of these former Cowboys, is there a common thread amongst these guys that you're able to pick out? Obviously, you've got many talented players. I'm sure most, if not all, dream of pursuing professional golf. Is there something amongst these guys that you notice that makes them special?
Well, I think kind of what I said, they've loved golf. First of all, if you want to play it for a living, you need to love it. It's a lonely sport. It's very difficult. You have to reprove yourself all the time. So they've loved it. They've been confident enough to be coached. And I think Victor's a wonderful example of that. He worked really hard. He came in when I first started to recruit him. He was probably the fourth best kid on the Norwegian national team. But I thought I saw something special. A very good ball hitter, repeated very well. I just liked everything that I saw, and I loved the way he competed. He looked like he loved the game. And so many junior golfers, when you watch them, or golfers in general, golf makes you pretty miserable a lot of times. You get good enough that then you're not happy unless you're playing great. And so many kids, their example around them is other kids that are, like you said, getting upset, hotheads, and they think that's how you're supposed to do. Certain people think that shows you have a passion or something like that. And usually an emotional reaction like that is more of a fear reaction or a hint of where you are with your confidence. If you hit a bad shot and you get upset, you're upset because you're afraid you might do it again. You felt that and you might do it again, especially the closer that reaction is to the shot. And watching Victor, he thrived on the competition. Success or not, he looked like he loved what he was doing. And Ricky was very much that way. It was a joy to watch Ricky play golf, and always has been. He hits shots, shapes the ball all around. Ricky was a guy that could hit 3 different clubs from any spot. And both of those guys still wanted to be coached, would come and ask, how can I improve? And another hint of Victor's confidence is if you listen to him talk after tournaments, when he won his first tournament in Puerto Rico on the PGA Tour, he hit a couple of bad chips. And I mean, you don't hear very many pros in there as they're accepting the trophy basically say, I suck at chipping. Well, he wasn't afraid to be vulnerable like that. And he wasn't afraid to try things. His first European tour event he ever played, he played pausing at the top with a driver. He would go back. It was a drill that he had done some, and he was hitting it well, go up, pause, and then hit the ball from the top. That was a drill. But in his very first European tour event as an amateur, he played that way with the driver. I mean, nobody does that. And he shot he bogey free, maybe 68 the first round. Then I think the second round he shot 80 or something like that and missed the cut. But again, not afraid to try things, not afraid to fail. And that's a big predictor of future success if someone can be that confident.
Absolutely. I would completely see that the same way, in that that hitch, that drill, like you mentioned, it's just having complete confidence in the process and what's working, and that knowing he's going to be able to pull it off. So very impressive. Continuing, we're talking about Viktor Hovland. He's current world number 4. I know that you actually famously winning the U.S. Amateur, and then going on to play in the Masters and in the U.S. Open as an amateur and being the low amateur there. I know you were on the bag for all 3 of these events. I mean, what was it like to be able to stand side by side with Victor and achieve these special moments?
Yeah, that was a dream come true. I mean, it really was, to have a summer. If you go back to 2018, our team won the national championship that summer, and to be standing there with your players when they achieve something that they dream of is what ultimately, you'd love to have as a coach. So that was a dream come true. And then a couple months later, I was humbled for Victor to have had the confidence in me to ask me to caddy for him at the USAM. And then a few days later, to be standing there again, to be by his side when he achieves a goal like that, to win the U.S. Amateur, and then follow that up to get to have a front row seat at the Masters as he's low amateur, get to be there when Tiger's putting on the green jacket in a historic 2019 Masters. We were the first guys to get to shake his hand when he walked out of the Butler cabin. And then to cap off Victor's amateur career, he asked me to caddy for him there at that U.S. Open, where I think he missed earning a spot into the next year's U.S. Open by a shot. I believe he finished 12th, but was the low amateur. And that was an extra cool experience for me. The fact that it was at Pebble Beach, which is probably my favorite place in the world, Carmel, California. It's where he had won the U.S. Amateur. That's where he closed out his career. To, again, be a part of the week in some small way beside him was great. And I got to bring my family with me as well. My wife and 3 boys got to be there for that U.S. Open. And Tiger Woods was in the group right behind Victor. And, I've known Tiger for a long time. He's always been really good to me, and got to introduce my kids to him while we were there on the 18th green for Victor to get his medal and Tiger finish up. All that made it a really special week to kind of kick Victor into his professional career. And Dad's cool factor went way up when I got to introduce Tiger to my kids.
Very special week. Wow. You mentioned that, I know you have 3 boys. You mentioned that that your family was there for that experience. Like I said, being side by side with Victor during this moment, and multiple of these moments and these goals achieved, as well as everything that you're doing with your other players and your current teams, I've got to ask, does the parent in you kind of come out a little bit, just being so proud of watching these guys grow and watching them succeed?
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting now. My kids are about the same age as our team. So I hope coaching over the years has helped me be a better parent. I don't know that it has or not, but it's interesting now. I've got a 21-year-old, a 19-year-old, and an 18-year-old, and they're actually friends with the guys on our team. So that's been interesting and fun for me. You know, they've looked up to these guys for a long time as little kids. As they've grown up with their dad being the coach. And now they're peers with some of our players. So it's cool for them to share that friendship and experiences with them. My youngest son, Gunnar, came with us last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, when we went to Augusta for that tournament. And we get practice round tickets the day after. So he got to see Augusta National for the first time. So again, cool dad moments to get to share. I've spent plenty of time away from my kids and have lots of regrets about that. I've spent a lot more time with some of these other kids that we coach or recruit than my own, but hopefully my kids will forgive me one day and I can obviously provide them some pretty cool experiences now and then, things like that.
Absolutely. And back to Victor Hovland, he's currently when he turned professional, he chose to stay in Stillwater as opposed to going out to Jupiter or a lot of where the other guys are as they're preparing and for PGA Tour events and whatnot. But I think that's another just huge testament to the kind of culture that you're creating right there in Stillwater. How would you describe that feeling as former player, world number 4, choosing to stay right there beside you and your team and wanting to be involved?
Yeah, that's ultimately what we would love for all of our players to do. We own the golf course. Karsten Creek's a nice place. The golf team actually owns the golf course. We raised all the money. So we have a great place to play and practice. And we would love for all of our players to stay. Not all of them do. But Victor recognized, he said, hey, enough things are changing in my life as I transition to professional golf. I like the town. I like everything here, and I don't want to mess with the formula that's been successful. And so he's stuck around and continues to be a big part of our program. He plays golf with our guys all the time. The day after the Masters, he was out practicing and playing. He flew in Sunday night, and early Monday morning, he was out at the golf course already playing and practicing with our guys. And he's been a huge asset for us as we try to communicate with our team the lessons that we were communicating to him just a couple of years ago. They listen to him better than they listen to us. I don't think they think we know anything. But he can back up those messages, and some of the same doubts that maybe he had in whatever message we were sending, he can kind of smooth that over and say, you know what, these guys might know what they're talking about. And the other thing it does is our guys recognize that some of our guys on the team, we still have guys that were his teammates, and what he's doing, and Matt Wolf, their youth having success on the tour really gives your current guys permission to think they can do the same. And Ricky Fowler and Morgan Hoffman and Peter Uihlein did that for a group prior to that. Wyndham Clark and all the history of players that we've had have done the same. And Victor's really embraced that role as a leader. And that's really empowering for your current players to recognize that dream that they have of success out there and being one of the best players in the world doesn't have to be far away. It's just right there. And they get a nice comparison of themselves to Victor every day. They can see what a guy that's in the top 5 in the world looks like every single day.
Absolutely. Able to offer so much insight and connect with them there. I can't even imagine the help that provides for your current players, and just footsteps to follow in. And like you said, the dream being physically so close. That's really wonderful for your team and for Victor as well, being able to be a part of it still. You mentioned Karsten Creek. I know Karsten Creek was built while you were a player there. one of, if not the nicest facilities in the nation. Definitely a big part of recruiting, I'm sure. What's it like to be able to have Karsten Creek? How special is that?
Yeah, it's fantastic. And like you said, I got to see it go from just trees to a golf course. We were working on the course kind of the whole time I was in school, but got to play on it my last year. And it's certainly unique. No one has anything like Karsten Creek, not that they've created. Mike Holder, it was his vision, went out and raised all the money. So, we're debt free, own the golf course, run the golf course. Every program has a perfectly adequate facility to play and hone your game on. But no one's been able to execute that. And it's really an example of how important golf is at Oklahoma State. And it's hard to quantify. I hope that when kids come in on recruiting visits, they see more than just a golf course, a nice golf course. You don't even have to have a nice golf course to be a great player. It helps, but it's certainly not. I grew up playing on a dump of a golf course. I didn't even practice lag putting because the grass would change. If I hit a 30-footer, I might putt through 3 different kinds of grasses. So you can overcome anything. You can become a good player anywhere. But I hope it's an example that people see that you can do anything. The American dream of, if you dream it and you work hard and you believe in it, you can make something happen. And that's what happened at Karsten Creek. And it's again, a statement of where golf ranks at Oklahoma State. It's important here. We care. We're going to continue to work and strive to provide all the resources for our players to achieve whatever their dreams may be. And it's certainly convenient. We've got the run of the place. Our guys can go practice wherever they want. And we have all the resources to take advantage of here if you want to be great, including a variety of weathers and winds and different conditions that are really a difference maker in a player's development to learn how to control the ball in the wind and in different weather. We play an outdoor game, and that's a real blessing to be in this part of the country.
That's very well put, Coach. That's definitely an unmatched resource that you've got there. Going back to your specific coaching style, your specific coaching philosophies, I'm really interested to know, a lot of coaches do it differently from a competing standpoint. While you are competing with your team in a tournament, how involved do you like to get with your players on the course? I know some coaches like to watch, some coaches like to walk. My coaches in particular have kind of, they choose to stay with one player. They don't necessarily bounce back and forth. I know on our men's team, I think that they like to stay on par 3s and help out with numbers on specific holes. So what have you found to be the most successful kind of strategy or tactic?
Well, it varies a little bit from team to team and course to course. As a general rule, if you want to be effective, you're going to be most effective if you stay with one player kind of the whole time, because you've seen every shot, you know where the player's mind is, rather than popping in and out from shot to shot. But we do that some. So we've tried a little bit of everything. My coach, Mike Holder, was a pioneer in that. He used to stand on the par 3s. Prior to him coaching, coaches used to go and play golf. The rules didn't allow a coach to give advice, so they might just drop the team, go play golf, come back and pick them up. He started standing on the par 3s. He kind of morphed into walking with one player, because again, if you're standing on a par 3, even though you've seen some other shots, you haven't seen your player and how they're feeling and how they're hitting it and all those things. So sometimes it's a detriment to, you're this outside force that is all of a sudden there when they've been clubbing themselves all day long. Mm-hmm. So we do a bit of everything. I prefer to walk with a player. And I really like what we've done. I like when you actually have all 5 players together, but that's rare that tournaments will pair you that way. I love that format for multiple reasons. One, I get to see every single player play, whether we give them advice or not. If you'd like to give advice, you can. So it makes it much more like a basketball coach. He doesn't have to choose to watch just the point guard or just the postman or or to pop in and out and watch a few minutes here and there, in that format, you get to see everyone. And we've had 2 tournaments this spring that I really like. They didn't pair all 5 together, but they paired 2 guys together. So we played foursomes with 2 of our guys and 2 from another team. And then obviously we have 2 coaches, so you could go with those 2 groups. And then you basically, you get to see almost every shot from your team. I really have liked that. And so we just stay with that group all day long. So I'm charting how far they're hitting it, and you might have a situation where you feel like you can help if a player's getting ready to make a mistake, or just teaching moments. We don't force them to make certain plays because sometimes they prove you wrong, but you learn a lot about a player if you're there every step of the way. So that's really my preference, but we've done a bit of both, kind of depending on the golf course. There may not be as much strategy on certain holes where you might help, but again, it might be a couple key holes. Like I mentioned in Hawaii, that was a course where we sort of popped in and out of a few key places we felt like we could help. But then I ended up picking up a guy and walking with them different days. So we've tried a bit of everything. Don't have all the answers, but that's at least a hint of where we're coming from. Whatever we feel like is going to help our players develop over time and ultimately give us the best chance at success each week.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting to hear you say that. From a player standpoint, I've experienced a lot of it all differently too. Typically, I've played around where I didn't see a coach the whole time, and I've played a tournament where I had a coach with me just about every hole. I would say, I agree that you're able to offer so much more insight and honestly a lot better advice when you've seen what's happened on the prior X amount of holes, right? But it definitely, I would agree that I'm sure different factors play into it differently, and there isn't necessarily a right answer because depending on the course situation, definitely it can vary. So Coach, I want to go ahead and wrap things up here. What we do here at 5 Clubs is we do 5 Clubs, 5 questions. So final 5 questions, just going to kind of rapid fire these off quickly for you. So first question, since you've been a coach, aside from your own team, was there ever a player that you saw at a tournament that comes to mind that you knew would be a star that would one day achieve great success at the professional level?
I thought Brian Harmon was a stud. I wish we would have got him here. He's one of the best junior golfers that I've seen. Yeah, I wish he had been a Cowboy.
Good one. Nice. Number 2, this is an important one. What is the go-to post-round meal that you take your team out for after a round of a tournament?
Our guys love Chipotle. It seems like all kids love that. Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, that seems to be at the top of their list.
Good ones. Those are good ones. Those are go-tos for us too, definitely. Number 3, who is the funniest guy who has played for you?
Oh gosh. Probably Jordan Niebrugge, kid from Wisconsin. He actually finished 6th in the British Open while he was here. Wouldn't be obvious to everyone, but he's really, really funny. We've got a phrase on our team that we use that he originated. It's get dumber. If you do something stupid, that's what we use. And it's been around now since Jordan's been there, but get dumber. We use that a lot for coaches and players at Oklahoma State.
That's a good one. All right. Number 4. Now everybody knows this, you can't be a good coach without showing some tough love at times. What would be a consequence for your boys or a form of discipline if a player were to skip class?
We've got a Stairmaster they call the Gauntlet. That's a series of stairs that just keep coming at you. And no matter who it is, you can crank that up enough to get any player's attention.
That's a good one. Those are the accountability workouts is what we've called them before. All right, 5th and final question. What do you like to do when you're away from golf? I don't know if this includes your family or any other hobbies that you have, but when you are away from golf, what is it that you like to do?
Hang with my family. I've been fortunate with my wife and 3 boys. Anything we do together, they've all played sports, so I love watching them do the things that they love. And so, yeah, that's about all I do is OSU golf or hang with my family.
Beautiful answer. Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining me today. It's so interesting to hear a coach of your caliber at a program that's been so successful, to hear you talk about what's contributed to that. And I know that you've got the Big 12 championship coming up next week. So best of luck as your team prepares for that.
Yeah, thanks. We leave Saturday. Our conference is really, really good. I think we have 4 of the top 7 teams in the country. So we'll need to be ready. We get to play a spectacular golf course in Whispering Pines. And thanks for having me on today. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and good luck. You must have the Big Ten championship coming up. So good luck to you and your team.
Yeah, we leave tomorrow for the Big Ten championship, and we're playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Fox Chapel in Pittsburgh. So
awesome. We'll go kick some butt.
We'll do. Thanks again, Coach. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, head coach Alan Bratton, for joining me on 5 Clubs today. It is very obvious as to how he's been able to lead his team to so much success over the years. And we wish them the best of luck next week at the Big 12 championship, as well as rolling into the postseason. So thank you again, Coach. And thank you, listeners, for joining me today on 5 Clubs.